Listening Fill in the Blanks.
Let's start.
The book is called Fruit Trees and Useful Plants in the Lives of Amazonians, but is better known simply as the Fruit Book. The second edition was produced at the request of politicians in western Amazonia. Its blend of hard science and local knowledge on the use and trade of 35 native forest species has been so well received and well used that no less a dignitary than Brazil's Environment Minister, Marina Silva, has written the foreword. There is nothing else like the Shanley book, says Adalberto Verissimo, director of the Institute of People and the Environment of the Amazon. It gives science back to the poor, to the people who really need it. This is not to say that wild fruit trees were unimportant. On the contrary, argues Shanley, they are critical for subsistence, something that is often ignored in much of the current research on NTFPs, which tends to focus on their commercial potential. Geography was another factor preventing the Rio Capim caboclos from establishing a serious trade in wild fruit. Villagers in remote areas could not compete with communities collecting NTFPs close to urban markets, although they could sell them to passing river boats. To sum up, learning is affected by emotions of both the individual and significant others. Positive emotions facilitate the creative aspects of learning and negative emotions inhibit it. Fear, for example, can limit the development of curiosity, which is a strong force in scientific advance, because it motivates problem-solving behavior. In Bocart's 1991 review of emotion, the learning of very high IQ and highly achieving children, she found emotional forces in harness. They were not only curious, but often had a strong desire to control their environment, improve their learning efficiency and increase their own learning resources.
Most important of all, the traditional measures of risk, such as parents' age and education, or whether they were a single parent, bore little or no relationship to the measures of achievement and language development. Children in the program performed equally well regardless of socioeconomic disadvantages. Child abuse was virtually eliminated. The one factor that was found to affect the child's development was family stress, leading to a poor quality of parent-child interaction. That interaction was not necessarily bad in poorer families. The researchers allowed various prey spiders to spin webs in the laboratory and then introduced Portia spiders. To simulate the shaking effect of a breeze, the zoologists used either a model aircraft propeller or attached a tiny magnet to the center of the web, which could be vibrated by applying a varying electrical field. The researchers noticed that the stalking Portia spiders moved more when the webs were shaking than when they were still, and they were more likely to capture their prey during tests in which the webs were penormally shaken than in those where the webs were undisturbed. If the spiders were placed onto unoccupied webs, they would make no attempt to change their movements. A major milestone in the history of glass occurred with the invention of lead crystal glass by the English glass manufacturer George Ravenscroft, 1632 to 1683. He attempted to counter the effect of clouding that sometimes occurred in blown glass by introducing lead to the raw materials used in the process. The new glass he created was softer and easier to decorate, and had a higher refractive index, adding to its brilliance and beauty, and it proved invaluable to the optical industry. It is thanks to Ravenscroft's invention that optical lenses, astronomical telescopes, microscopes, and the like became possible.
It appears that experimental, situational, and cultural factors are even more powerful in shaping wisdom than previously imagined, says Associate Professor Igor Grossman of the University of Waterloo in Ontario, Canada. Recent empirical findings from cognitive, developmental, social, and personality psychology cumulatively suggest that people's ability to reason wisely varies dramatically across experimental and situational contexts. Understanding the role of such contextual factors offers unique insights into understanding wisdom in daily life, as well as how it can be enhanced and taught.
For many people, a long way. In our everyday lives, we have to perform many acts out of habit to survive, like opening the door, shaving, getting dressed, walking to work, and so on. If this were not the case, we would, in all probability, become mentally unhinged. So strongly ingrained are our habits, though this varies from person to person, that sometimes when a conscious effort is made to be creative, automatic response takes over. We may try, for example, to walk to work following a different route, but end up on our usual path. By then it is too late to go back and change our minds. Another day, perhaps. The same applies to all other areas of our lives. When we are solving problems, for example, we may seek different answers, but, often as not, find ourselves walking along the same well-trodden paths.
Cake is one of the most beloved desserts in the world. Whether it's for a special occasion or just a sweet treat, cake is a dessert that brings people together. There are many different types of cakes, ranging from light and fluffy sponge cakes to rich and dense chocolate cakes. No matter what your preference, cake is a dessert that will always satisfy your sweet tooth. The history of cake dates back to ancient Egypt, where cakes were made with honey and bread. Over time, cakes became more elaborate and were used to celebrate important events such as weddings and birthdays. Today, cake is still a popular dessert for celebrations, and many people have their own special recipes that have been passed down through generations.
Like, share, subscribe the channel and press the bell icon for further updates.